Okay, so the Tecware Nexus Air. Someone asked me to review it, so I asked Tecware to send it over for me to review. So they sent over a loan unit for me to check it out, and here it is, the Tecware Nexus Air. They have had a pretty good reputation of delivering a lot of good value for money products, so we're gonna find out in this video if it's worth it and a good idea to buy the Nexus Air. Before I start the video, if you have any questions you want to ask, Discord, Instagram, link in the description below or the comments. Best way is just ask me questions, just shoot it. I will reply there. Start off with this PC case. I think high airflow PC cases are underrated, and because Tecware really only sells PCs to Southeast Asia where it's really hot and spicy in terms of the weather all the time, like this t-shirt, high airflow PC cases make a lot of sense unless you're planning to leave your air conditioning unit running all the damn time. Having high airflow PC cases is going to keep your CPU, GPU running cooler. Your fan's going to be able to run at lower RPMs, meaning your system is going to be quieter than if you got a fancy NZXT case with the front all flat and stuff. I don't like this with too much suffocation of the airflow. So high airflow PC cases make sense. And this tech case is called the Nexus Air, so it better have good air. And it does, obviously. Look at the front, it's got a mesh front and all that stuff. Let's do a tour of this case and talk about its design. I personally think it looks pretty good. It's clean lines everywhere, it's pretty aesthetic. It's simple and it looks good. It gets the job done. Now going around the case, on the front you've got a nice mesh grille that's completely flat and clean with a small Tecware logo, which is fine. And behind this grille actually has a little bit of filtration, which is a very nice touch. On the top of the case you've got magnetic fan filter and more fan mounts, and of course your I/O. You've got a power button there, a reset switch, 2 USB 3.0 as well your audio jack, so it's all conveniently laid out there. On the back of the PC case you've got a rear fan mount, which is convenient. This is a 120mm fan mount. You've got 7 PCIe slots and of course the place where you put your power supply. So the overall layout of it is pretty simple. It's a pretty standard PC building case. Now on the bottom you've got 4 rubber legs to keep the PC case off the floor, which is good for keeping your power supply alive and working in terms of airflow, but I still wouldn't recommend you put this PC case on a carpet because the legs aren't all that tall. The bottom though is nice and filtered, so if you have any intakes down below like your power supply fan, it's gonna stay reasonably clean over the years, and you can actually remove this filter semi-easily. It's not magnetic, but you can remove it pretty easily to clean it, which is a nice touch. On the side, you've got the main attraction, honestly, with most Tecware cases at this price range. It's the tempered glass, and for a 60 to 70 Singapore dollar case, that's a pretty good deal. I mean, you've got a very nice tempered glass side. It's thick, it's beautiful, and it looks very, very nice, as most tempered glass sides do. Now, let's talk about build quality since we're on tempered glass. I think the tempered glass adds a lot of stiffness and rigidity to this PC case, which is very good. And the side panels and panels in general are pretty thick, although I find the motherboard tray has a little bit of flex to it, although it's not too much to really warrant any much of worry. It's not like you're gonna put 2 RTX 3090s in here, so the flex you have on the motherboard tray shouldn't be all that bad, so it should be fine. Now the panel gaps and all that isn't the best in the world, but it looks pretty okay from a distance. Fine. So build quality overall is pretty nice. So overall, the cables that the fan I/O comes with, the front panel connectors and the fans all come with, they're all braided or sleeved completely. They're all completely dark, so they're very easy to hide, except the HD audio cable, which is this ugly rainbow mess, which I don't understand. Tecware, you pretty much sleeved all the cables except one in this PC case. Was it that hard to sleeve one more? Would have cost you maybe another 30, 40, 50 cents in production, and will add just that little bit of touch to the case. And I just don't like the fact that out of all of these connectors you have to leave one out unsleeved completely. So let's talk about, now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about compatibility with GPUs, fans, and all your drives and stuff. So in terms of GPU compatibility, it supports up to a 350 or 360mm GPU, not much difference there. And that's pretty good, pretty standard, pretty acceptable. You can fit most GPUs in there, and chances are you're not really fitting anything too powerful in a PC case like this, so you don't really have to worry. 350, 360 obviously will be reduced if you put an AIO in the front and the radiator is there, and it's gonna reduce your clearance. Now in terms of CPU cooler clearance, it can support up to 165mm tower CPU cooler, so your Hyper 212 should be fine to be put in this PC case. It's nice. And in terms of fan compatibility, there is plenty. Now this is a high airflow case, so obviously there's plenty of fan mounts, plenty of fans to go around. It comes with 3 120mm fans in the front, or you can put 2 140 there if you want, and you can put 2 140 in the top or 2 120 in the top with that magnetic dust filter filtering all the air, and there's actually quite a good amount of clearance in the top fan mounts for you to put an AIO, so if you wanted to water cool your CPU, you can without too much difficulty. And on the rear fan mount, you can put a 120mm fan, but it already comes with a fan there, which is convenient. If you're talking about cheap PC cases, having 4 free fans is already a good enough value. I don't think any mugs should be docked there. In terms of drive compatibility, then you can actually put 2 SSDs and 2 hard drives, or 3 SSDs and 1 3.5-inch hard drive. One of the bays are kind of in between. You can mount either a hard drive or an SSD. On the back of the motherboard tray, you have this nice little kind of attachment that you can remove with thumb screw, where you can screw your SSDs on individually and plug all the cables in individually before screwing it back on, which I think is a very nice way to mount SSDs, because I don't like fiddling around with screws in very tight spaces like the power supply shroud. Okay, so let's talk about the build experience now that we've got compatibility out of the way. Build experience is pretty standard. It's a very bog standard ATX, MATX kind of, it's a standard tower case. You've got a power supply shroud, which makes it super easy to hide cables. You've got very nice rubber grommets to do all your cable management, which is very, very nice. A lot of the cables are actually pre-cable tied together. That makes for very easy cable management time, which I think is excellent. And it comes with all the screws that you need to put the PC together inside a little Ziploc bag. It's not sorted out or anything, but hey, you probably can figure it out yourself. Now, it doesn't actually come with a manual, I guess maybe because this is a review unit, but you definitely can find a manual for this PC case online, so no worries there. But anyone who's built a PC before in a standard tower case would have no problems building a PC. In this case, it's exactly like how you expect it with the box standard layout. And it comes with pre-installed motherboard standoffs, which is one of those things that I absolutely appreciate, because I hate, figuring out motherboard standoffs. The fact that they're just pre-installed there is just so convenient. By default, it's got a standard kind of ATX setup, but you can tweak it around if you have a more weird esoteric layout on your motherboard, or if you're using an MATX motherboard as well. The middle standoff has this little nice thing where it has a little notch so that you can kind of hook your motherboard on and secure it in place before you even have any screws in, which makes it much more easier to mount the motherboard, which is one of the most annoying parts of building a computer. So very nice to have all that stuff there. Now, so overall the build experience was pretty easy, but the thing is I didn't have any good looking PC parts, so I decided not to put any footage of this PC case fully built inside this video, because all the parts that I have and used to build the kind of test build experience with this case, they're all broken, green PCB, hella ugly 2011 computer components that I salvaged from old destroyed computers. And I think it's more fair to Tecware that I don't show their PC case, which looks pretty nice and modern with these crappy old components. I only just built it with those old crappy components just to test out the whole build experience, and it was pretty easy and pretty nice. Now in terms of cable management, as I've said, the rubber grommets there are super convenient for hiding cables and stuff, and I like the fact that the power supply shroud allows you to just stick all your excess cables there. And if you were to use a non-modular power supply because you were a cheapskate, you'll be able to stuff all that stuff down there and hide it, no one else to see, unless of course you really want to put a lot of hard drives down there, which then you can't actually stuff as many cables down there. 3.5-inch hard drive mounters in the power supply shroud. I forgot to mention that just now. Another thing that makes the cable management pretty easy on this case is the fact that the space behind the motherboard tray and the back side panel is very big and very wide, so you can actually fit a lot of cables in there pretty easily, so all your thick, chunky power supply cables can sit there and be secured down very easily with all the hooks that they provide and the couple of cable ties they provide. And speaking of what they provide, apart from the screws, they provide cable ties for easy cable management, and they also provide you with this little speaker so that when you hit the power button you can actually hear a little jingle, which is very nice. Not that common nowadays actually to find that, but it's nice that they include. Okay, so that's it for this PC case pretty much. I think I've covered all the bases. Have I? So I think I pretty much covered all the bases there. Let's talk about the final thing. Let's talk about the price. And the price of this PC case is, drumroll please, $65 on Lazada. And for that price, I think this case is a pretty good buy if you're looking for an ATX case. Although if you're building a budget build, you're probably ending up with an METX case, then you can get like the $50 4-gem, which is also very good. But it's as big and fat as it is, so just build an ATX rig with this case on. So overall, I think the value for money proposition is definitely there. Once again, Tecware is delivering on all its feature promises and all its kind of value for money promises, and because of the aggressive pricing, it's very hard not to recommend it for anyone looking for a budget ATX case. Of course though, if you're open to buying secondhand, there are premium options out there that you can get for about $65 as well. I got my NZXT H500i for about $70 secondhand, and you might be able to get a fancier case with really high-end kind of quality of life features if you're willing to go secondhand. But for a brand new PC case, it's hard to beat the value of the Tecware Nexus Air. So if you're looking for a high airflow PC case and you like clean, simple lines on your PC, you want it to look nice and clean and simple without too much fluff and flair, the Nexus Air might be a good choice for you. At its dimensions, it's a pretty compact power ATX case and with pretty compelling features. And the fact that it's easy to build in is a nice touch. So if you are a beginner builder, it might be a good choice as well. That's it for this PC case review. I hope you guys found it interesting. I know this video is gonna do well, but to help that do well even faster, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and share. Everyone loves Tecware case reviews on YouTube because not enough people do them. And if you want me to continue doing more case reviews and maybe even have benchmarks in my case reviews, subscribe and help out this channel so that I can grow it and actually make enough money to buy parts and buy stuff and have the time to benchmark all these things. So anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching once again. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.